Okay, welcome to the East Lansing Study Committee on Independent Police Oversight Commission meeting that we have tonight at 6 p.m. March 29th, 2021. Thank you all for joining us. Tonight we have a special edition of our community input meeting where we'll be hearing from the public in regards to our Police Oversight Commission. Can we go ahead and go into roll call introductions? Diane, please.
Kathy Boyle.
Kathy Boyle, attending virtually from East Lansing, Ingham County, Michigan, and I'm a member of the committee.
Sade Colwood.
My name is Sade Colwood. I'm virtually attending from Douglas, Massachusetts, Worcester County.
Kelly Ellsworth Etchison.
Kelly Ellsworth Etchison, attending virtually from East Lansing, Ingham County.
Noel Garcia Jr.
Good evening, Noel Garcia Jr., attending virtually from East Lansing, Michigan, Ingham County.
Chuck Grigsby.
Chuck Grigsby, East Lansing, Michigan, Ingham County, Chair of the Commission.
Cedric Haro.
Cedric Haro, attending virtually from Mason, Michigan, Ingham County.
Helen Josephson.
Good evening. I'm Helen Josephson, attending virtually from East Lansing, Michigan, Ingham County.
Duran Reed Davis. Chris Root.
Chris Root. I'm Vice Chair of the Study Committee. I'm attending virtually from East Lansing in Ingham County.
Quentin Tyler.
Quentin Tyler, attending virtually from Lexington, Kentucky.
Eric Williams. Ron Bacon.
Ron Bacon, attending virtually East Lansing, Clinton County, City Council person, as well as liaison to the Police Oversight Study Commission.
Now staff will introduce themselves, starting with City Manager Lahanas.
Good evening, everyone. I'm George Lahanas, City Manager for the City of East Lansing. My role has been to support the commission through their work and provide information to them and assistance. And we're just here to say hello and welcome. And then staff will be stepping off to allow you all to do your work. So thank you for attending. We greatly appreciate your assistance and input.
Chief Kim Johnson.
Good evening. My name is Kim Johnson. I'm the Chief of Police of the City of East Lansing. And I became the chief back in October of 2020. But before that, I was at the police department for over 30 years. So I'm glad to be back. And I'm staffing this the committee and to help them reach their objectives and goals, things of that nature. So welcome. Thanks for being here.
Deputy Chief Steve Gonzalez.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Steve Gonzalez. I'm the Deputy Chief with the Police Department. And similar to Chief Johnson, I'm here to provide support to the committee and then also the staff as well.
Human Resources Director Shelley Newman. Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Administrator Elaine Hardy.
Hello, I'm Elaine Hardy, and as the chief indicated and the deputy chief, I'm just here as staff support.
Justin Durenke.
Hi everyone, Justin Durenke. I traditionally work in Parks and Rec, but have been facilitating Zoom for the study committee. So if you run into any technical difficulties today, feel free to chat me directly. I can help troubleshoot that. You'll see me in the chat as well, providing some instructions while you're in the breakout sessions.
And I'm Diane Schaefer. I provide administrative support to the commission, to the study committee, actually.
Thank you, Diane, and thank you everyone and staff for joining us tonight, as well as the commissioners and the public. We'll move into item 2 on the agenda, where Commissioner Tyler will take over for the introductions. Commissioner Tyler, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chuck. And if I could start off with, I will start off with a quote by Coretta Scott King. Coretta Scott King says, "The greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members." On May 26th, the City Council of East Lansing, Michigan appointed a study committee to examine police relations within the community, and also to make recommendations to the City Council to create and implement an independent police oversight commission. As part of our process, we, the study committee, are soliciting input from you all here today through small group breakout discussions and public comment. This feedback will be used to help us finalize our collective recommendations to the East Lansing City Council on establishment of an independent police review commission. Next, I want to mention where we are in the process since we have begun our work. We have taken testimonies, we have reviewed evidence, and examined the methods by which other communities review complaints of police misconduct, and also reviewed best practices based on national standards. I will state and repeat that we are seeking input from you this evening to shape our report to City Council. So keeping that in mind, I will state a few of our current recommendations. You can find a full list on our website. Oversight of policing by a commission composed of volunteers from the community must be independent of the police department. The Oversight Commission will review complaints from the public about East Lansing Police. The public will be able to submit recommendations about policing policy and practices. The Oversight Commission will be proactive. The Oversight Commission will research and review data about policing practices by East Lansing Police Department. It will also publish reports of its findings. The council should and will allocate sufficient funding for the Oversight Commission. Now we will move toward the breakout groups. But before we get started, I have some community norms guidelines for this evening that I will discuss. First, I want everyone to try on ideas. If someone expresses an idea, opinion, or point of view new to you or different from your own, try it on. Try to see it within the other person's perspective. It's okay to disagree. We will surely disagree, but it's natural. And we may come to better disagreement and better understanding because of our disagreement. Let us sit with our disagreement, even if it feels uncomfortable. It's not okay to shame, blame, or attack. Next, let's practice self-focus. It means to be aware of your actions and set goals, then hold yourself accountable. Practice both and thinking means taking more than one perspective. Understand intent versus impact. Be aware that your intentions may be good, but the impact may land different and cause harm on different people. And last but certainly not least, let's maintain confidentiality. We want people to feel comfortable to share without thinking what they say will be repeated after this webinar. And we also want to make sure that what we share here stays here. And as we move forward in our small groups, we will have facilitators and note takers that will lead questions in the following categories: accountability, transparency, community, and trust. We have dedicated 30 minutes or so for these conversations. If more time is needed, we will provide. Again, we're not married to these recommendations or even these questions. So again, let's begin our process. Thank you for your time and look forward to valuable contributions and discussions. Thank you, Chuck.
Commissioner Tyler, and then we'll move into our next portion of our meeting and item number 3 of our breakout sessions. For the audience there, please look on your screen. You will have an option to break out in the room, or you will automatically fulfill your place in a breakout room. Please be patient for a moment or two while we get everyone organized and facilitated into the rooms. Thank you.
So I think everybody is back from the small groups because I'm seeing 62 participants in this group. And I'm responsible for this next little part of the agenda, which is to explain what's coming next. I do want to say the group that I was in was extraordinarily helpful. People had so many good ideas and so many very specific suggestions about how an oversight commission might work, how to communicate with the community, what kinds of things the community might want to communicate about. We decided in the study committee when we were planning this evening that we would not use this time now of being back together in a whole group to report back from each of the small groups, because that can go on, and we've chosen another way to do that, which is each subgroup had a note taker, and they were writing as fast as they could, and all of the notes from all of the small groups will become part of the minutes of this meeting. So all the study committee members will have access to the notes of what happened in all of the groups, and so will the community, because the minutes will be placed on the next agenda of the study committee. So that's the immediate next step, is to record what happened tonight. So you can tell that we've been talking a lot about recommendations, because that was reflected in the questions we started with tonight. The study committee is still working on some, lengthy, more detailed recommendations than the ones that were shared this evening. The process is we're going all the way through a long document of recommendations. Then we will review the changes that have been made as a result of our conversation. And then we will ask the city attorney to give us feedback. And then we'll receive that feedback from the city attorney. We'll consider it. We'll see if we want to make any amendments. And then we will vote as a study committee on the recommendations that we will present to the council. I think that's an important part of the process. The city council will certainly need to consult with the city attorney and would expect to do that. We want to do that as a study committee as well. We're not just throwing ideas out regardless of what might come next. We're trying to really be very serious about understanding what the legal and collective bargaining constraints are within which an oversight commission could actually be established. So we kind of see that as part of our job as well. We have until June 12th to submit to the city council our recommendations and report. They asked us originally to get back to them in 6 months. And we just asked and were given an extension from mid-April to mid-June. We've been working hard, but we just aren't finished yet. And so the city council last Tuesday did grant us an extension until June 12th. Until then, the study committee meets every second and fourth Tuesday in the normal form of public meetings, which is a more, webinar Zoom than a meeting Zoom. But we always have public comment time at the beginning of the agenda, and you can always look at the documents, that we're reviewing. And to get to that, you just go to the homepage of the city's website and look for the icon on, I've forgotten now what it's called. I will get there. The portal, the meeting portal icon. And that takes you to all the commissions and council and all of their meetings. So you'd look for the study committee on that meeting portal, and that's where you can find our agendas, how to call in, what we're looking at that evening. So we'll probably have another 4 or 5 meetings, and you're definitely welcome to any of those to, express views on more specific things or broad things. Then we'll make, and the presentation to the council will include recommendations coming as close as we can get to a draft ordinance for establishing an oversight commission. And it will also include a report on 3 topics. One is that we've spent a lot of time in the last 5 months requesting information from the police department and trying to put that together in a meaningful way. And so there's a chapter about reporting that data. And many of you probably have been seeing in the last couple months reports about racial disparities in arrests and stops and use of force. And that information came out because the study committee asked for it. That has actually been part of our process. We also will include in the report what's been happening with review of complaints so far, how that has evolved in East Lansing. And there is a chapter about a national review of oversight because we looked for what we could learn from what other cities have done and what national organizations have to say. So there will be content about that in the report. So we will make a presentation to the City Council. You know, we don't know exactly the date, but it should be soon after, around June 12th. It's conceivable we'll get finished a little bit earlier, but it will be at about that time. And it is absolutely wonderful that everybody came out tonight. And I want you to remember that the study committee members you're talking to tonight will not make a decision about anything. We're just making a recommendation. So if you are interested in having input in what gets decided, it's the people who we elect to serve on City Council who make decisions. So it is they who will be voting on the ordinance. And so we really encourage you to keep involved, keep a watch, show up on Zoom when the study committee gets to make its presentation to the council and when the council begins deliberating on the Oversight Commission draft ordinance, because that is what actually will matter in terms of what the outcome of all this is. And we know City Council members are listening and watching and paying attention, and it will become their turn to really make a decision. And so that's where it's really important for people to remain engaged. So that's the next steps for people who are interested in how this is all going to emerge into a new Oversight Commission being created in East Lansing. I'll turn back to the chair, to Chuck, to take us to the last part of tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Vice Chair Root. Yes, please stay tuned, stay engaged past tonight, as she was saying, with how you're able to do that through our way of participation. If she did not say, I may have missed it, there are previous meetings that we've had. They all have been recorded. They're all there available for you if you want to go back and look at more of the body of work we've been doing and how we got to where we're at now as well. So that is available to you as much. So we'll go on to item number 5 on our agenda. And this is the part where we will be hearing from you as individuals. We're going to have a raise hand function for you to be able to speak. But before we get to that part there, and if you do want to speak past what you've talked about tonight in the breakout rooms, you will have that opportunity. But our commission needs to do a quick vote on that participation. So just hold for a quick second while we get through this parliamentary process here on item number 5. Pursuant to MCL 15263 subsection 1, limiting public comment to 3 minutes per individual for tonight's electronic meeting, I'll entertain a motion from one of our commissioners.
Motion.
I think that was moved by Commissioner Josephson, seconded by
Support by Kelly Ellsworth Etchison.
Commissioner Ellsworth Edgerton. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
So moved. All right, so what we'll be doing, community members, is giving you an opportunity to speak. You'll have 3 minutes to be able to do that. It's up to you what you want to say and how you want to say it based on what you've talked about tonight or anything else. And the raise hand function will be your way of being called upon. If you are not speaking, please mute your phone or your line on your device so we're able to hear the input from the community members. And I'll move it on to Justin.
Thanks, Chuck. I'm just here to help facilitate. If there's anybody that would like to take advantage of the public comment at this time, feel free to use the raise hand function. You can chat me or use any of the reactions to indicate that you would like to address the committee at this time. All right, I see Mike Lynn.
Yeah, I would just kick it off because nobody else was raising their hands to say that this is an amazing thing that you guys are doing here. As many of you all may know, we've got some of our own issues here in Lansing. And as I said in our breakout room to Chuck, who I talk to very frequently, that I can't wait till we bring something of this sort to Lansing. It's definitely needed. So just be encouraged that this is an amazing thing you guys are doing, and looking at, you know, the accountability aspect and the conversation you guys are having around transparency and community and so on. Just very, very excited to see this take place out here in East Lansing. It's needed, as you know, as a young Black man growing up. East Lansing was our off-limits spot for us to even drive through the Meridian Mall. So this is definitely needed, you know, in the issues that happen to us. We feel really concerned about even trying to make a complaint. So to have somebody that's going to feel that and actually present that information to the community, it's amazing. So, you know, I'm just now coming into this process of watching this thing take place out in East Lansing, but it's definitely needed. And I appreciate you all for putting that time and effort into getting this taken care of. And I need to know who the city attorney is. Can y'all tell me, is it Robert Easterly? Who is y'all city attorney, and who is y'all city's attorney? That's been brought up a lot about the city attorney. So who is the current city attorney, if somebody can answer that? Thank you guys.
Thank you, Mike Lynn Jr. What is the actual name of our firm that we utilize for our city attorney services that we have?
It's the Foster firm. They have offices in Lansing, Grand Rapids, and Detroit, I believe. Foster Swift, Gavity.
Thank you, Commissioner Boyle. And thank you, Mike Lynn, for your comments. Justin, do we have anyone else who is raising their hand?
Yep, so the next person I've got on my list is with the name Marcus.
Actually, that's my child, not me. Hi, Kath Petzel. I would like to reiterate what Mike said, in that I really appreciate all the work that has been put in by this committee to get to this point. I think it is a first step, but it's a huge first step. You know, the pushback that's been seen by the city manager and the police department shows that you're doing something right. We need to get this information out of the police department. We need to hold the police department and police officers accountable as best we can. As I said, it's a first step. I think we need to continue to work as a community towards limiting or increasing accountability in our police contracts, and limiting the effect that our police union has in determining discipline for behaviors that I think most community members would find unacceptable. Police brutality that we know is happening to Black and brown bodies at a far higher rate than white people in this community is unacceptable. And the just simply stops and questioning, et cetera, is also unacceptable. I know that the Oversight Commission will be looking into many of these issues, but I think we as a community outside of this commission need to continue to put pressure on our city council, to put pressure on our city manager when contracts are being renegotiated, which is coming up, that we have far greater control over our police employees that are more likely to get fired for not calling in on a shift than they are for smashing a Black man's face into the pavement. Thank you.
Thank you, Kath, for your comments. Do we have anyone else on the line, Justin?
Yep, we've got quite a few. So next person is going to be Lee June, and then after Lee on deck is Dave Wiley.
No, I agree with the two previous speakers and Mr. Lynn, as well as the other person that's just spoken. I think this is a great step. And I'll say a couple of things that I think are fundamental and probably will be done anyway, but I just want to put them on the table. That is, we go forth with this committee. We have to be careful that it is one that has respect and that it is carefully constituted, being diverse, you know, by race, gender, and other factors. And I think that's going to be extremely credible that the people on the committee rather, is seen as credible and are really people who I would say are also kind of grassroots people who have a sense of what's going on in the community. And then the other comment that was made, I just want to put on the public record that I think it would be important that the committee would probably do this anyway, but there'd be periodic reports to the community in terms of what's going on, and whatever data is collected and people can speak on, it needs to be also disaggregated by various kinds of demographics. So as Mr. Lynn say, I applaud you for where you're going, and I just wish you the best as you proceed and make sure that the committee is one that is viewed as credible. And if all of that happens, I think it would be a great step in the right direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lee, for your participation tonight and your comments. Very appreciative. Justin, can we move on to the next person, please?
Yep, Dave Wiley.
He's muted.
Dave, are you still on the line?
I'm sorry. I wanted to comment that I was surprised that in the questions we were asked, there was nothing about the autonomy of the commission, which seems to me from the national literature as a sociologist, the thing that is faulted about most commissions across most communities is their accountability informally to the city administration and to the police department. So it is terribly important to ensure the autonomy. The second thing was in the transparency section, that it was focused primarily on transparency to the community. That's terribly important, and we simply want to know that most important thing there is to make sure the press has access both to the commission's activities and to the data that is being reported. Which, by the way, as a sociologist, let me just add that for getting the data of the police department into an analyzable and regularly maintained form is terribly important. I understand the study committee had to take a great deal of time to disaggregate the data, which was not reportable and comparable over time. So anyway, this is terribly, terribly important. As someone who directed the MSU's African Center for 30 years, I can tell you that many times the warnings given to African students as well, who are the subject to the racial bias as well, have been too many times in my 30 years, and I've kept quiet too long about that. So I just want to wish the study committee well and urge them to seek transparency from not only to the community, but from the city administration, the police department, the Michigan State Police, and all other structures. We need that transparency, and the commission needs not to have to rely upon FOIA requests for redacted material in order to build their cases. Thank you very much to the committee and to all of you who are supporting this effort.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate your comments and your participation this evening. Do we have someone else on the line?
Yep.
Justin?
Okay. So yep, I've got Fonda followed by Farhan and then Curtis.
Thank you. This is Fonda Brewer. Thank you for having a wonderful, engaging session tonight. I truly enjoyed this experience. And I think it's great the work that you're going to do. I agree with all of the speakers who shared comments before me. I see great work coming out of this commission. My only suggestion is, I might have a couple, is I want to make sure that the city council has an opportunity to see all of your recommendations. I know that you're going to present to the attorney to make sure that they're legal and binding and viable, but I think it would be helpful to let the city council see all of them, because some of them might be changes they're willing to make. Whereas the attorney may find reasons, and I'm sure good reasons, as to not suggest you move forward with them. But I think that the city council should see all of your recommendations personally. And I would also ask that the commission have some level of authority. For example, they should be able to review the budget and make budget recommendations with regards to the police department. They should also be able to participate in hiring decisions, I think, or code of conduct interviews or evaluations, assessments. And then lastly, I would like to see if there's any way that you can impact change in terms of some new rules or regulations. For example, if the officers in East Lansing wears cameras, that all of the cameras must be on at the point of going and pulling a car over. No excuses for not having a camera on, none. And there might even need to be some sanctions or something to hold them accountable and responsible. But thank you for letting me comment. I look forward to seeing the final outcome. You guys have done an outstanding job. I'm very impressed. And Lansing does need to follow this practice. Thank you.
Thank you, Fonda. Next caller, please. Appreciate your participation and your comments.
Farhan? It's a little choppy.
Can you guys hear me?
Okay.
Ooh, that's not good. First and foremost, I want to thank all of you guys for holding this meeting. Chuck, Chris, everyone else in this committee. I want to thank all of you guys for doing this. You know, it's important that this commission that's being created has total independence from city council and from the police department. You know, last year, a friend of mine got beat up by the East Lansing Police Department, and city council and both the police department tried very hard to hide evidence, to not release everything on time. And when you look at situations like that, it makes you not trust the police department. It makes you question everything. And, you know, so this gives me hope that we can once again trust our police department and our city council. I think independence for me is very huge, very huge. And I want this commission to have their own website. I want them to have their own social media so that people can reach them without necessarily having to come to City Hall or go to the city's website, which has a bunch of things. You know, East Lansing has always been a place that I stayed away from. It's a place that, quote, it's a place where people like me get pulled over. And I always try to stay away from East Lansing. The only time that I went to East Lansing was during Ramadan, which is the holy month of Islam, where we fast for 30 days. And I always got pulled over. My family and I always got pulled over. And till this day, I don't go to East Lansing as much. But the city of East Lansing is in far better place today than it was last year. For the first time ever, we're having a police oversight committee. We have a Black city attorney. We have, for the first time ever, brown people and Black people are the majority on city council. We have a police chief that's a Black man. So we're making progress. Representation matters. It's important that people that we hire, the police officers that we hire, represent us as well, and not
30 seconds.
Okay, thank you. And not just a bunch of white people. And I looked at the numbers, and the only reason why the only reason why we had less Black people pulled over in 2020 was due to COVID-19. Think about that. If it wasn't for COVID-19, we would have 50 or 60% of Black people getting pulled over. And that's what we see each year. We see 50 or 40% of Black people getting pulled over, even though we make only 6% of the population. So
okay, that's
things
time.
like that can no longer happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Farhan. I appreciate your comments and your participation tonight. We will go on to the next person on the line, please.
Yep, I've got Curtis, and then Anna is on deck.
Thank you all. I really appreciate your time. I won't be before you very long, but I just want to sort of echo some of the same sentiments that some of the other speakers had sort of spoke to with regards to what a great opportunity and what a model that you all are creating to build community trust. And so I just want to commend the commission on doing that, commend the commission to continue these listening sessions in attempts to build trust and community engagement. That's very important. But I also want to just take a little time to encourage the commission to continue to look at some of the best practices as it relates to policing throughout the country. And some of those practices, of course, focus on hiring a diverse, hiring for diversity to create a diverse policing pool. And then, of course, look at some of those things with regards to mental health. But, oftentimes we hear some of these negative stories. Individuals, police officers are responding to mental health checks, wellness checks, and then of course, and I mentioned this tonight, those things end up in a negative result, oftentimes resulting into the death of an individual community member. So again, while we are doing some great things, but I think it's very, very important that in terms of police accountability, that we continue to look at some of those best practices, look at some of those things that with regards to public perception and public opinion, how we can sort of change what it is that we're doing and what it is that we need to do. So again, I just want to really encourage this group to do that. Again, my hat's off to this particular body for what it is that you all are doing. Everyone on this call should be very proud that we're participating in a model that we can probably, hopefully, engage the city of Lansing to be a part of. Thank you all for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Curtis, for your comments and your participation this evening. Next caller, please.
Anna, you are muted.
I want to join several others in thanking the study committee. Really fine work. I'm really excited about East Lansing having an independent oversight commission. And following up on something Fonda said about being able to weigh in on the city budget, I would like the Oversight Commission to have veto power over the police budget. And also wanting to amplify something Kath Edsel said, AKA Marcus. I'm very pro-union, but I have a problem with the police union, and I think it's something different than what unions are set up and supposed to be. And I brought this up in our breakout room, and our facilitator said, but unions do discipline people, unions do fire people, but the overwhelming perception is that unions protect cops when they behave badly. And so I think that's a problem that I hope this commission will take up. And I know I'm going to keep my eyes on it. And I support your work, and I'm so grateful for what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna, for your compliments, and thank you for your participation this evening. Next caller, please.
Okay, I don't have anybody else on deck. I just want to do an open call in case there's anybody else that did not get a chance to do public comment that was not called on. You can use the raise hand feature or message me directly, use any of the reactions. Okay, Chuck, I'm not seeing anything.
Thank you, Justin, and thank you. And please remember, we are not done meeting. If you do want to participate, we do have formats in our future meetings, as Vice Chair Root has indicated. It is there for you to be able to maybe process maybe some things that you heard tonight or thought about, and you can follow up. We'd be more than happy to hear from you in the future, as well as we continue to meet to mid-June. I just want to say thank you to the community and your participation, your thoughts, your passion, your concerns, and your expertise in our discussion this evening. It's been very, very fruitful. The commissioners and myself, we are very, very thankful of your participation, and we will definitely heavily recommend and incorporate a lot of what has been discussed this evening. I want to say thank you to the staff who has been supporting us throughout this process. I just wanted to say that in a public format for the community. They have been wonderful, giving us what we need to be successful and get up to this point. But I really want to thank the commissioners that I get a chance to work with and have been working with here for the last 6 months or so, have came in here, hit the ground running, have done a lot of work when no one's looking. And I'm honored to be a part of this wonderful, wonderful tool for advocacy for some of the issues that concern you most in the community. So with that being said, we are at our last item of the agenda, which is item 6. And I want to bid farewell to everyone in the community. Thank you so much. And we will go for adjournment. And I will entertain a motion from any of the commissioners who would like to do that.
This is Quentin Tyler. I make the motion to adjourn the meeting.
Moved by Commissioner Tyler. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Boyle. Thank you. And thank you again, community. If there's no discussion, we will adjourn. And thank you, community. Stay tuned, stay in touch, stay involved going further past this as well. We need you. We can't do this without you. Thank you so much and good night.
Thank you.
Take care. We are adjourned.